You know how Trump got banned from pretty much every single social media platform? Well, he took things into his own hands by creating his own. Or not yet, but the plan is to create a social platform called Truth, and this is being done through a SPAC merger deal. Ticker symbol is DWAC, and the company that's being formed is Trump Media and Technology Group. So they're not just a social media platform, they do a lot more, or they're planning on doing a lot more. In this video, we're gonna be talking about the stock as well as the pitch deck that was submitted for this merger deal. Kind of drama filled. Let's talk about it. First of all, let's talk about the stock price action because this thing has been absolutely bonkers today. Trading at around 13 bucks this morning, the news came out, and it's just been on an absolute roller coaster to the upside and casual 364%, no big deal. But the big thing to point out here is that the volume is 447 million shares being traded. And if we look at the shares outstanding, around 29 million. So the float on this thing is very low, meaning if the sentiment or hype is really high in this thing, which having it be associated with Trump, it's going to get a lot of media exposure. And we can just look at stock twits to see the craziness that's going on. The ticker symbol's been trending all day long. And then if you look at the posts that are coming in, I mean, they are just being flooded. Both bearish, bullish, right? You got a lot of politics weaved into kind of what's going on with the stock. This video has nothing to do with the politics, just about the stock and the company. But yeah, just a lot of buzz around this name. So there's a ton of volume. For this video, it's going to be tough to talk about the valuation because there's not really any numbers to look at. Right now, it's 100% sentiment. This stock could trade to 100, could trade back to 20. Honestly, no one will be able to know. It's just a lot of volatility. So you're going to get some massive swings, probably to both sides, up and down. And we've seen that today in the stock. So if you want to trade some volatility, this name definitely has it. But talking about the company itself, Trump Media and Technology Group, I like that they added the technology just because it's a nice buzzword. If it's just media, it's not as sexy. So if we add that technology name to it, that helps out. Now, the whole point of the initial startup of this company is to really drive home censorship, resistance, and basically it comes down to like freedom of speech. That's kind of the whole pitch with this company, is that the platform won't hinder people's ability to kind of say what's on their mind. And it's just kind of throwing down all the big tech companies right now because they tend to censor certain people. And then obviously, you know, with Trump being banned across these platforms do have a lot of power to kind of quiet people if they're kind of going against the terms of service. So these companies can come down and shut someone's accounts down. And even in this actual pitch, the pitch deck, it actually talks about Trump's historic social media following. So, I mean, he did have a huge following across platforms, and overnight it disappeared. So the whole point is this whole non-cancelable platform, which will be interesting to see how that works, because while I understand, you know, no one wants to have their speech censored, you do have to realize that people coming on here and doing bad things or hate speech, and you know, it may kind of turn violent. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But the whole point of having completely free speech, how they regulate that. Will it truly be free speech, or will they censor things that they don't think are truthful either? Because sometimes people can be subjective about like what the truth is. So we'll see if this social media company is any different. It's not just a social media company. They're saying that they'll do entertainment and news, and then also they'll be competing eventually with companies like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, which for me, this first part maybe makes sense. I think like forming a media company is probably a little easier than competing with AWS and Google Cloud. I feel like this part of it, the technology piece of this company, is pretty far-fetched, and that will get people's attention. Whether or not they can actually compete with these giants, I don't know. But for a social media platform, sure, they can probably launch that. They can also have their own news. That makes sense. You know, I don't think it's very capital intensive, or you don't need to hire the best engineers ever. So I think this piece of the company probably can launch. We'll see how much traction it gets. I think because it does have the Trump name, it will get the eyeballs that, hey, this thing exists. Whether or not people join the platform and it's actually usable is a different story, right? This is all just a pitch deck. Nothing is actually usable. There's no product. We'll have to see kind of how it turns out. I'm going to ignore all that political stuff. The one thing that I would say also is kind of fluff is that it just points out the massive market opportunity, right? Social media, massive. Cloud services, massive. I just don't see any anything in here talking about them actually building it out. It's more just like, here's an idea. We're going to do entertainment and social media slightly different. I don't think it deserves a huge valuation without anything being built. And this is always my concern when investing in SPACs, because sometimes with a company like Nikola, it was about investing in this idea of hydrogen cars, and the cars weren't even a product yet. If we look at Nikola as a possible example of what could happen with DWAC, it went from 13 to over 90 in a couple weeks. And then from there, it pretty much crashed as people left the investment because they realized it was mostly hype, investing in an idea and not actually investing in revenues or profit or business. With this one, you know, it's a little bit more believable. Social media, entertainment, that's nothing crazy, right? Nothing futuristic, but there's no product right now. So there's no followers. We don't know the revenue, how they're going to generate that, right? Is it going to be advertising? Is it going to be paid? We don't know anything about the business. So it's literally just Trump's name attached to a ticker symbol, which I think can be dangerous. It's just a trading vehicle at this point. There's no way you can try to value it because, like I said, there's no numbers to look at. What's the revenue? What's the expenses? Like, are they going to be profitable right away? They have to build the entire infrastructure. It's just so much that we don't know, that this is one of those things where it's like, I would never touch it, but it's entertaining to talk about. And don't get me wrong, you can make money in this, but there's a difference between investing and gambling. And this one is definitely more of a gamble. Those are my overall thoughts, but I would like to hear kind of what you guys are thinking. Do you think this will actually gain some traction, get some followers to actually join the platform? Or is this kind of gonna be hyped up and then die away? Like a lot of these other SPAC deals or SPAC ticker symbols that kind of explode on volume and news. And then when something actually happens and gets built out, it crashes. Definitely let me know in the comments below. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a like, as well as consider subscribing to Main Street Wolf, where we talk stocks, investing, anything to do with money. Thanks guys for watching, and have a great day.